I'm here with Ethan and Will. We're going to talk all about Star Wars, believe it or
Yay!
not. So, I'll start with both. Whichever one of you wants to pitch in first. What was your first experience with Star Wars at all, as a kid, as an adult, wherever you started?
So I have to age myself when I say this, but my first memory ever is being a 4-year-old in a New York City Times Square theater, seeing the original movie as a 4-year-old, and my father passed away in 1995. It's like he's still there. Like, the memory is so clear, and it changed my life. I've had the opportunity to tell George Lucas, and he did not find this funny, but I did tell him that had I never seen Star Wars, instead of growing up to be at that time a journalist, I might have been a successful business person. So thank you, George, for he didn't find that funny either. So
I got it.
he found it as funny as Will found it.
Yeah.
How about you?
Fake laugh. Me, so there used to be the way you'd rent videos in this little fishing village where I'm from was a van would drive in, like a portable video hiring shop. What's the right name for that? Like a portable Blockbuster.
I don't think there is a right name for a van.
And whatever it was, I think it was raining, so my mom was like, I'll go up and get the video. Usually you go up and you get it, whatever. And she comes back with Star Wars. And I was like, Mom, I've already seen Star Wars. And little did I realize there was more than one Star Wars movie. It was Empire Strikes Back. And we put it on, and me, my brother, and my sister were like, oh my god, and it just went from this like one movie to this massive expanded thing, and I don't think I'd experienced anything like that before, and that was it then.
And so presumably, I mean, it's an obvious question, that magic has stayed with the pair of you ever since?
No, we just phone Star Wars stuff in. Like it's
he's like emotionally 5 still. He has not grown up at all since that.
Whatever you're doing, it's working.
No, of course it is. And like you grow up playing with these toys, and then all of a sudden, if you grow up and you can continue playing with those toys for your job, it just happens if you break one of the toys, that's canonically what happens with it. It's an amazing thing to be a part of.
Quick question: Palatoy or Kenner?
Say what?
Palatoy or Kenner?
You are losing me, because I was never understood that when I was younger. So that was a side of Star Wars that I didn't get.
You're well out of it.
Yep.
It's a deep, dark rabbit hole you don't need to go down.
Probably.
So, when you two guys got together you've done multiple projects now.
Yeah.
Which was the first one, and how did that come to
Galaxy's Edge was the first one we worked together on. And it was a really challenging one, because more challenging for Will than for me, because he had to draw a place that wasn't built yet. They were in the process of building it, and some idiot put on page 2-3 of the very first script a 2-page splash that showed an aerial view of the entire spaceport that didn't exist yet.
There it is.
What a fool!
Yes, so just so that you can see, this place was not built yet, and I put it in the script.
But it definitely was a surreal experience drawing somewhere that you knew didn't physically exist, that will physically exist.
Yes.
And the first thing I saw...
Everything he got wrong, people would know for all time.
But literally, like, the first thing I saw, I walked in, there was a little kid, and the kid was like this.
Yeah.
And he's looking at that page, and he's comparing the buildings. It's like, wow. Okay, I'm glad we put the work in to make sure it's all right.
Yeah.
So what I actually did was, they had this scale model revealed.
Yeah.
So I got as many photos of that could. I built out a 3D model of where the buildings are.
Oh, wow,
so I'd kind of moved the camera down, so that's in the background there when you're at this point, to make sure everything was in the right position.
And with a project like that, because obviously Galaxy's Edge just come out,
Yeah.
Marvel are getting involved, it's a multimedia kind of thing.
Yeah.
What was the challenge for, as a writer, for example, what was the challenge of, because it's very clear what your challenge
For
was.
me, I didn't see, the challenge for me was to sort of juggle the different eras a little bit, but also make a story that held together, because I didn't want it to be like an anthology where here's an issue, and if you miss issue 2, who cares, because there's a completely different story. So finding that sort of framing story, and in our case it was a heist in the first one, and a sort of pirate chase in the second one. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but honestly, to get to tell the sort of history of these places that so many kids and Star Wars fans are going to go and physically get to, it was a privilege, and it just loved every minute.
So, you've worked together, and we'll come back to that because there's more to talk about.
Who are you, and how did you get this number? Sorry. Yes. No, we did. Yeah.
But you've worked individually as well.
Yes.
Ethan, Bounty Hunters.
Yes.
As a fan of 90s Star Wars, Bounty Hunters absolutely makes me smile every month.
Well, that's great.
How much fun has it been for you to dive into that era of, that kind of vibe of Star Wars? If that makes sense.
It's been such a blast for many reasons. Like one of which is we get to play with these characters that are both iconic and at the same time kind of free from some of the constraints of some of the sort of bigger legacy characters. So we can mess them up pretty badly without destroying your childhood, your childhood memories of Return of the Jedi or anything like that. So that's fun, and just also to play in that sort of dark street level, among characters that don't really care if the Empire or the Rebellion win because it doesn't affect their lives. Like they're still going to be sort of doing either their bounties or their assassinations or whatever. So that's just been a fun and kind of very freeing experience.
And you're what, 27, 28 issues in now? Still
28 comes out this month. We have it planned for, I don't know if I should say this out loud, but we've got like at least another 2 years planned. So you'll be sick of hearing my voice in these interviews by that time.
No.
Yeah.
And Will, Boys of Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Absolute joy to watch. Read.
Sorry to draw.
Take it in. Yeah. How enjoyable was that for you?
A lot. Yeah, it felt really important when we were doing it. Like the way, the build up to it. Like it was actually the book that I was given the most time to prepare on with the character designs because they were so important. So it was a lovely process. It was the first time I got to work with Charles, who I'd known for years, but before we both broke in.
Yeah.
So that was lovely as well. It was just intense. It was a really visceral story, I guess, as well, and it really got to bring a lot to a character that's so pivotal to Star Wars, I guess, and I feel a big, strong connection to that book, definitely.
Yeah, and because of that, because Kylo, a lot of the sequel trilogy characters haven't been fleshed out as much as they will be over time.
Yeah.
Was it enjoyable to just get a hook on that character and go for it?
Definitely, and the characters we got to create, like you see Ren now popping up in other books as well, and Christian Slater plays him in the Halloween story, which is awesome, little things like that, how that world from that book is spreading around the place is awesome. It's the same with Galaxy's Edge and stuff. Like you never know these characters that you create, you'll never know where they'll pop up. So the 3 characters we created for Galaxy's Edge started appearing in other books as well. It's awesome to see even just other artists draw these characters and where they go and where they end up, and yet it all works, it all interconnects, it all fits together, and both sides of that are really good to be a part of.
You could say that Galaxy's Edge was a tricky assignment because of what it was, and then Halcyon Legacy equally, but they brought you guys back because you did such a good job on the first one. What was the trickiest element of making that work as a project that stands on its own?
I mean, I think, to be blunt, where we boarded the project, there wasn't as much ready for us to see. They were still casting like some of the actors as an example. So once again, it was harder for Will than for me. So really, it was not challenging at all for me.
It's easy to draw a corridor of a ship. It's hard to draw the corridor ship when it doesn't exist yet, and it will. So of course, there's balancing stuff like that, but that's part of the project because they're working as hard as they can to build this and make it the best they possibly can. So of course, it's going to evolve and change, and it's based off of all of this incredible concept art. But then the builders are making it bring their own part to it as well, and then it's our job to really make it fit into that world because there are going to be so many. I think Galaxy's Edge and Halcyon Legacy will sell forever because kids that are in those locations are going to want to read those stories, and you want to make sure that they work. And that they're right, and when they're looking at the stuff around there, they're like, this is exactly where I am. It's set here, so it feels even more like I'm there, and I learn more about this world.
And from a writing point of view, a story's a story, and you want to find the kernel of that and work it in.
I think Halcyon Legacy especially was very satisfying because it is like that ship has this history that starts from the era of the High Republic and goes, well into the sequel era. So to be able to tell essentially 6 eras. That was amazing. And we also got to kind of cherry pick the characters we wanted to tell, to get to tell an Anakin story and then to get to tell this weird heist story with Lando and Hondo. I mean, it's...
it was the first story that went past through all 5 different eras of Star Wars, wasn't it? Like, that was amazing to do, Yeah.
And given you're both doing other things as well, obviously, but given that you've got over
Separated now.
I was going to say air quote. I used to do podcasts. I can actually do air quotes. You got over the hurdle of these. What could be tricky tasks of bringing these into comics? Would you enjoy another Galaxy's Edge series? Would you
yes,
enjoy
easy,
another
yes.
They're just going to have to expand the theme park, aren't
Yes.
they, to give us another story to play in? So
Yeah.
I've no problem with that.
Yeah, no, we originally had, before the Halcyon, we had an idea for a sequel to Galaxy's Edge. I mean, first of all, the sky's the limit,
Yeah.
literally and figuratively. Like, we could easily tell more stories there. It's a very rich setting.
Yeah, you've been there, haven't you? Like,
Yeah.
you feel like you're in that world. It's just amazing. They brought us over before it opened. So I being an Irishman, I went to the bar. I was the only person in the cantina, and I
Like
could
May 9 at 8:30.
pretty much just drink. Is that what it's called now?
No, it's what's the bar called?
The cantina.
Oh, this cantina.
Yeah. And I was just kind of sitting there and just was like, I guess I'll have another drink then, because that barman looks bored or whatever. And it was just so surreal being in that place by myself. Just kind of, this feels like I'm actually there, like, you know.
Yeah.
And we got to do the Falcon and all that. We got a
He
preview
crashed
of
it.
Resistance.
He
I
crashed-
probably. So we got home. So he punched it. Oh, no,
I
who
did
punched?
punch it.
Did you punch it? Yeah, you did.
I did punch it.
Ah.
We do have another idea for a story for Galaxy's Edge, don't we, Mark?
Oh, here we go. So you've heard this. You've heard
I
this
did.
hashtag. This Bins Up It's in hashtag.
Of course.
Tattoo.
How could we not hear it? It's everywhere.
When the
We've-
trade comes out.
Well, we have pitched the idea since it was brought to us yesterday. We have pitched it to Marvel,
Good.
and we were both fired.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yes,
I cannot
so
be a
we're
part of
our run on Star Wars
So,
is
so
ended.
now you can pick up my new image book called Hell to Pay, which comes out next week. I can't do Star Wars anymore, but I brought Charles over for it.
They threw our career in the bin. Our career went in the bin along with the bin.
We tried
So-
to do a varied cover with just the
Yes.
bin on, like just the bin on the front,
Yeah.
and like you could literally put rubbish through a hole in it and everything. But no,
No, and I
Sorry,
believe
lads.
the editor's exact words were, "This script belongs in a bin."
Yes.
Oh,
So
Okay.
I thought I nailed the assignment.
so we should just stick to covering news and leave you guys to do the
Stop
clear.
ruining our careers.
Okay, that sounds better. Well, on that note, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
no
you
worries,
for
lads.
having us.
Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
fans of your works.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you.
yeah, yeah.